But Jim, I
Yeah,
found
we're on it. All right. Hey everybody. It is it's a Sunday in December here. And we are going live on 97.7 FM, Veterans for Freedom Radio, the Truth in Broadcasting Corporation in Cottageville, South Carolina. And I have the Elaine Greenwood with me today. You can find her on Super Woke News over on X. Are you anywhere else?
I hope not.
Are
No,
you still doing
I'm
content
on
on Rumble?
Rumble. I have content on Rumble. Nothing has been updated, I think, in 2 years, but it's still there. Some of it really stands the test of time related to the Murdaugh thing. So it's still there. If I ever write a book or something, I have it as, reference points and that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
I like X. I really do.
Well, speaking of books, I had my first book, Defending Alec Murdaugh, Not Guilty by Reasonable Doubt, which is up on my bookshelf there. And anyway, I wrote that 2 years ago, and I just checked. I'm like number 9 in crime and evidence in Amazon. So book sales are shooting back up. Yeah.
Congratulations. That is wonderful.
Yeah.
And
So,
Jim, you have never said or pretended that you're Shakespeare. If the book factually is extraordinary. Your narrative style has evolved since then. I think you admit that it may not be perfect in terms. If you're looking for Shakespeare, don't pick up your book. But if you want to understand what
my
happened,
writing gets better every day, and that
that,
was my first book. Whatever you out in the audience has ever done for your first time, if you nailed it and you're an expert the first time you did it, congratulations to you. The rest of us, we're human, and we learn and we move forward and try to learn from our mistakes. Yeah, I was trying to be a little in the first book. Yes, the facts are all there. So I
yeah,
was trying to make it a little bit more interesting, and I was trying
yes,
to go a little bit more John Grisham than I probably should have, because it wasn't it's not a fictional book. Um, it is true crime book about true events that happened. So anyway,
yeah,
that book is for sale. And going back to that, what we're going to talk about today, how the South Carolina ODC, or Office of Disciplinary Counsel, how that disciplinary process actually works. But it started back in October of 23, prior to me being diagnosed with cancer. But that particular time, when I came out with that book, I had so much hate come after me. So much hate. It was incredible how much hate was. I was like, who are these people? I literally wanted to get off of X, get off of social media, and forget about it. And I sat down one day and I thought, you know what? No, these people are not going to dictate what I do. I am proud of this work. No, I'm not a trained, didn't go to journalism school. But listen, I've ran multi-million-dollar corporations. I've traveled the world. I've done in charge of China, South America, Central America, North America. I charge with hundreds of people. Anyway, enough of my ranting about this, but it's come to a head again. And starting on about the 1st of December, there's an attorney in South Carolina. He's part of the Luna Shark team. His name is Eric Bland. He's an attorney from the state of South Carolina, and he started to. And I don't want to say the word attack. What was the word you'd use rather than that?
no, he's attacking you.
Okay, yeah, he's attacking.
There's no other way around it, and you're not the first. Credible people, a licensed North Carolina attorney, and other, who's sworn that when an attorney makes public statements, they're held to a higher standard than the rest of us. And she described in detail in 7 hours of live content how she was harassed and doxxed and attacked by Eric Bland and that Cup of Justice cult. They're a bunch of groupies that act in unison, and they think it's okay to harm people because Eric Bland, their fearless leader, is an attorney. And if he says it's okay to do it, they wrongly, dangerously believe him and engage in conduct that could get people killed. So what they're doing to you resonates with me. And, I've got something else I could be doing today, but this is such an important topic. And what you're experiencing is so important that I think it's, I'm taking my time to talk about it. So tell everybody what's been going on, because you've had a lot of success. You've broken the Stephen Smith thing. We know how Stephen Smith died and who's responsible for his hit and run death. So that kind of took that off the table. We know Buster Murdaugh had nothing to do with the death of Stephen Smith. We know
Correct.
Dr. Personnel was correct in her autopsy findings.
Correct.
And you've spoken about that, and you've also talked about jury tampering. You wrote the second book with Myra Crosby, and so you are a leader in truly investigating what in the world has been going on, and that makes you a direct threat to this narrative that these folks have, and that's what about. So tell us.
Right. And in fact, Manny Matney, who's the ringleader over there, I saw a little clip where she's laughing and going, ha ha ha, Parker's attorneys, look at the people you're putting your facts upon. And I'm like, Parker's attorneys aren't getting anything from me. Nothing.
No.
I've given them nothing. I made a connection between Cali Lyons and them, and that's it. I haven't given them anything. I haven't received anything. So y'all can just stop that lie right now, because that is a 100% lie. Okay, now we go into Eric Bland. And so, I wrote this article about Stephen Smith. I talked to Eric Bland. I texted Eric Bland. I talked to Sandy Smith, texted her, and wanted to get together with those two, together or separately, wherever they chose, and let them hear the hour and a half recording of my confidential source who laid us all out. And I'm not talking about somebody who heard something and, like the Buster Murdaugh rumors. I am talking about somebody who was there that night in the house where Patrick Wilson lived, and heard the words out of their mouth, that we think we hit somebody, we think we killed somebody. It doesn't get any more on target than that. Okay. I worked with SLED for months. I gave this to him. I came out with an article about 3 or 4 months after I got the original evidence over to SLED. And then all of a sudden, 2 days before, or a week before, Mandy's Hulu series on Stephen Smith was supposed to come out, all of a sudden she calls me a liar, without ever hearing this. And then, I write about that, and now I've got them coming after me, and now I've got Eric Bland coming after me. And all for writing articles on what they wanted, which is, please, any information. They have a billboard out. They did walks. They're begging people for information. And what do? I go down there, I boots on the ground, I interview people, and I get it, and I put it in an article, but it doesn't say Murdaugh. So now I'm a liar. And then they go back to the Murdaugh thing. I don't get it. Like, do you want the information or do you not want the information? So then Eric starts literally calling me names online. He called me a scumbag, a clown, a whack job, sick and deranged person, lunatic, mental midget, cretin, while portraying me as dishonest, mentally unstable, and engaged in harassment against him. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have not said one word about Eric Bland besides he's not doing his job. And his job as a super lawyer and as Sandy Smith's attorney is to do exactly that. And then I start talking about the 392 case and getting into the public domain of what has been published in the public index on Hampton County's courthouse website. And I published those documents and try to interpret those documents and lay them out for people. And I get attacked again, as I'm harassing them for using information from a public index to report on through my website, which I'm no longer a journalist to them. I'm an online personality. And honestly, if they are comparing what they do as journalism and me, not a journalist, I'll take that all day long. I don't care. I'm not like them. I go after the truth. I am not biased. If you think it's biased, it's in your mind, not in mine. So here I am getting attacked, and I thought, I am not going to put up with this. Not from him, not from them. I've been listening to this for 2 years. I've been seeing them attack other people for 2 years, actually longer than that. And the person that you're talking about, they did that. They doxed her and her son, and he went through all kinds of emotional instabilities. And I'm just done. So what I did is I sent not my words, not me making stuff up. Oh, he said this. I heard he said that. I took it from his own social media and I made copies, and I went and did my research at the ODC website and what their ethics actually are, compared them to what he said, and created letters. I have sent now 7 letters to the ODC, and I received one back from them, and it said, "We have received your complaint and additional information against Eric Stephen Bland, Esquire, and we will conduct an investigation into the matters you have reported." And then they go on and talk about some other things, and you can read the art. You can read the letter. I have it up at crimeandcast.com. But they have the Office of Disciplinary Counsel at the Supreme Court of South Carolina have opened an investigation into the ethics of one Eric Bland. That's not fiction, even though he said that I was crazy, and that that the ODC would be crazy to listen to it, and of course they would probably reject it because I'm an idiot and whatever else he mentioned to say. Which I sent another letter with more evidence of him attacking me and the process. So they have 7 things now, serious things, not just whatever. But I'd love for you to explain, after this long dissertation I've given, of kind of the process. And I know you're familiar with the process, because one of their operatives came out and said, "Listen, everybody gets a letter that with a case number." And that, however, may be true, that everyone gets a letter with a case number. And I received another letter about 2 other attorneys who had mentioned me in their motion. I am a non-party to this case, and they mentioned me, and I sent it to them. And so I did get a letter back from them that they said, "We're not doing anything about it." This one was different. For Bland, we are investigating it. We will conduct an investigation. So no, not everybody gets this, and I'll turn it over to you, because
The because attorneys have this special stature that when they say something, we believe that they're telling the truth. We believe by virtue of their profession that they're telling the truth. And that's the standard they're held to by the Supreme Court of the state of South Carolina's Office of Disciplinary Counsel. So Bland knows that. He knows he cannot run off at the mouth and call you a schizophrenic, or call you mentally deranged, or call you all the things, the nasty, vile things he's called you. They're not just personal attacks, but as an attorney, he cannot do that. He also cannot discuss the merit of an ODC complaint, which is what he's doing. He's mocking the Office of Disciplinary Counsel. What he's saying is, who cares if you complain to them? Who cares if they say they've opened an investigation? They're not going to do anything about it. Now, if that is true, the Office of Disciplinary Counsel needs a enormous wake-up call from citizens saying, we want you to do something about it. When attorneys get this far off the rails, when attorneys go this far astray from the sort of sacred duty they have to the public. And here's what's wrong with what Eric Bland is doing.
Well, before you do that, hold that thought for 1 second, because I want to read to you what he said when you had said he's mocking them. And this is what he said, and I quote, "That's okay. I have full confidence that the South Carolina ODC, when they get this supposed complaint that this completely unhinged man supposedly filed against me, will dispose of it in an expedited fashion and caution the public about filing frivolous ODC complaints against lawyers simply because he can." Unquote.
So he's characterizing, he's minimizing, he is eviscerating the merit of your complaint. He is mocking you, which is specifically what he is prohibited by the rules of professional conduct from doing. So Eric shows a reckless disregard for attacking you to start with, and then how he responds when you have filed a complaint, which the ODC has found meritorious, because this is how it goes. You send in your letter because you're upset about something, and the ODC will say, we received your letter. If there is merit to it, if they find there's merit to it, they open an investigation. And that's what you got. They found that there was merit to your complaint. They opened an investigation. You knew that, and you mentioned that. And Eric, first of all, mocks you and says that didn't happen. And then he says, well, it doesn't matter because you're all these things that he's decided you are. And I think he also says that the ODC won't do anything anyway. But what's outrageous about that is, as outrageous as that is, what's really outrageous is he doesn't say this in his broom closet or in a vacuum. He says it on air as part of Cup of Justice, which has a huge following. I've heard estimates of 1 million followers.
I don't know about that, but let me interject this. So this is the ironic part of all of this, is that same Cup of Justice, including Eric Bland, have gone public on live on their podcast to implore to their people, is that a word? To go out and file a complaint against an attorney called Mark Moore, who is a attorney for one of the Parkers, or not one of the Parkers, for the Parkers 392 case. And I guess the complaint was that he did a deposition with Liz Farrell. I
So
don't know what the complaint is. The guy was doing his job
he
as
was
an
doing,
attorney.
and the reason the deposition went on so long is because of the outrageous things that Liz Farrell was admitting to under oath that essentially eviscerated Mark Tinsley's claim, the plaintiff's claim in the 392 case. I believe the 392 case is a fraud on the court because it involves allegations about who released mediation material, and it's clear Mark Tinsley is the guy that released it, or at least he may not be the only guy, but he certainly was one of them, and he released it to people where he did not require a non-disclosure, non-dissemination agreement.
And
So
that's according to Liz Farrell under oath.
under oath, her testimony on November 3rd of 2025, just a short time ago, under oath. So yes, if you're an attorney deposing somebody and they're admitting that the entire case is fraud, you're going to ask a few follow-up questions. But depositions in big cases can go on for days. So the fact that she was deposed for 8 hours is not abuse of a system. The fact that she's asked questions that she is embarrassed to answer is not abuse. She might consider for just a minute that being embarrassed to answer it is because her conscience is telling her what she was doing is wrong.
Yeah.
That's why she's embarrassed. It's
So
not.
now let's look at both sides, right? Now you have on one end, someone like Eric, who, as I said, let me get these words right. Where'd it go? Now you have an attorney in public on their social media accounts calling moi a scumbag, a clown, a whack job, sick, deranged person, which I think that is against a South Carolina state law to refer to someone that as crazy, a lunatic, a mental midget, and a cretin, and quite a few other things that I didn't even list here because there were so many. That is perfectly fine in their mind, but also in their mind, an attorney having a 7-hour deposition is worthy of an ODC investigation. And please, all fans, let's just load them up with violations and letters.
But
Can
Jim,
someone explain that to me?
if the issue was, are they ethical? Are they particularly bright? I would say, no, they're not. That's not the issue. The issue is this. What Mandy and Liz do is they're not members of any profession that I can identify. They are not journalists. They're not bound by the rules of professional conduct for any profession or professional body. So what they're doing is just unethical and I think bad, and arguably defamation when it's wrong. What Eric Bland is doing is entirely different and much more serious. He is held to professional rules, rules of professional conduct related to what he says in public. When he gets on that cup of justice, he is there as an attorney, as a practicing attorney, as super Eric Bland, as this omnipresent media darling that is everywhere. He's on any he just cannot pass up a microphone. But his public stature is as a practicing attorney. So when he says that this or that is true, or when he encourages this cult following to do these things, like have animosity towards somebody they perceive as an enemy, or dox, harass, bully, and attack people, he's doing that under the umbrella of being a licensed attorney in the state of South Carolina. For that reason alone, he should be disbarred. This isn't just he did a bad thing. It isn't just that he did an unethical thing. It isn't just that he's not a nice man. He's doing this under the guise of being a licensed practicing attorney in the state of South Carolina. And people believe when he says go do it, when he amplifies it or encourages it or participates in it, as he did with me, as he did with Karen Madison, as he's done with you, he has so crossed the line of the rules of professional conduct. This isn't about polluting the perception of the legal system in South Carolina. It's not that trivial. He's putting people's lives at risk by inciting a mob to hate and attack and go after third parties. Yes, you.
Me.
And so this is what's so outrageous. But, I was looking at, because I almost filed an ODC complaint. I actually compiled all the evidence of it. And I believe I have to look at the date of this. It was in February 2024. I never submitted it. And, Seton Tucker never submitted a complaint, and she could have. Suzanne Andrews could have and didn't. We bear some responsibility for not reining this guy in when we should have, whether it was because of his direct attacks to me, and he called me a schizophrenic and all these things. When I was looking back at the way he attacks his enemies, it's the same language and it's outrageous. But there was also the University of South Carolina School of Journalism put on this. This is a taxpayer-funded venue and a taxpayer-funded event, basically, and it's the book signing for Mandy Matney's book. And prior to appearing, she demanded that she produced an enemies list of about 13 people, including Dick Harpootlian and Suzanne Andrews and Seton Tucker and other people. I don't know, were you on that list too?
I was on that list.
And then what's outrageous is the South Carolina School of Journalism was stupid enough to accept the list when they should have said absolutely not. And the list was that people on the list were supposed to be barred at the door from this event at a taxpayer-funded forum because Mandy, in her delusion, this woman, in my opinion, is neurotic as all hell. She sees everybody as an enemy. If you criticize her in any way or just observe accurately what she's doing, you're an evil enemy. And she encourages her fans to think that. But anyway, the idea that she would formulate this list of her enemies, and the School of South Carolina was saying, sure, let's, give us the list and we'll keep we'll ban them at the door from being part of this. Afterwards, after it was called to their attention how outrageous it was, it's my understanding that they sent apologies at least to Suzanne Andrews and to Seton Tucker. But, we now know from some of those texts how much animosity Liz and Mandy have towards Seton Tucker. And it's just sick. It's really sick. They're weaponizing their neurosis. And
let me just tell you, they made fun of Seton's mother who had passed, literally making fun of the fact that she had passed, and they were calling her evil names. And that is between Liz and Mandy, that they didn't think anybody was looking. But the Apple iCloud certainly was looking. And those are despicable things for them to say. And they can't lie about it because it's there.
I thought that they went after Seton's stepmother. who has
Yeah.
a ITT
Oh,
staff.
well, they did that too, which she doesn't own an IT company. Yeah,
No,
well, but why go after Seaton? Why? Because she
at
had
all.
a podcast that was Impact of Influence that was a competitor to theirs. So let's just go after our competitors. Not let's do a better job than our competitors.
Right.
Let's go attack our competitors and let's figure out ways between ourselves behind the scenes to attack them. And then when we go out, we're going to play like we've gotten attacked. We're the people that are getting attacked. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, they are just with machine guns as hard as they can. And they use these dummies like
Jim,
Zumi and Jams to go out and as their operatives to go out and just help destroy, and White Fang and whoever else. I mean, it's just I'm tired of it. Just act like human beings, do the right thing. And Eric Bland, God, I mean, for the love of God, you're a super attorney or whatever they call you, super lawyer. You won best in whatever in Charleston. Start acting like it. Stop acting like a child. I want to repeat these names that came out of his fingers and mouth: scumbag, clown, whack job, sick, deranged, lunatic, mental midget, cretin. Those are the words out of a grown man who's an attorney in the state of South Carolina, referring to a journalist who is writing stories that are in the public domain, who is solving cases that they can't solve and don't want solved, in my opinion. And so, what are they going to do? They're going to come after me and attack me and call me those names and try to discredit me so people don't listen to me. And that the money train doesn't work out. Let's just mock him and make fun of him. Well, I'm sorry, but the ODC is there for a reason. Um, and I think you were going to further explain that, but it's there to, help protect us. I mean, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rules just here that I'm looking at in ethics rules cited. Doesn't mean that they're going to take
go
these up with this particular rule, but
read,
what I said,
Jim,
go
read
ahead.
them. Read them.
Yeah, so rule 4.4a is using means that have no substantial purpose other than to embarrass, delay, or burden a third person.
Right. That's what they're doing. Keep going.
8.4c is conduct involving dishonesty, fraud, deceit, or misrepresentation. 8.4d, conduct prejudicial to the administration of justice. That he did in his post, where I read you that he has full confidence the ODC get this supposed complaint. They're a completely unhinged guy, blah, 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 blah. 8.4e, stating or implying an ability to improperly influence a government agency or judicial process. 3.6, trial publicity. 8.2a, false or reckless statements concerning integrity. He's done that at least 6 times, 7 times that I know of, and each time. And 3.6a, extrajudicial statements, pattern-based concern.
Outside of court of law. Now, listen, Jim, you have an article today, though, that talks about what the ODC actually does. And the thing is this: we have to have faith in our judicial system. We have to hold them accountable for enforcing their rules, most especially and probably most fundamentally, the rules of professional conduct, because the public has an interest, a profound interest in having faith in the judicial system. It's under attack. It is on X, probably the single biggest concern people have is that we are concerned about the integrity of our judicial system. So when Eric Bland just flat out says basically that the ODC doesn't do anything anyway, that basically what he's saying is I can do whatever I want. And even if somebody
But he's
files
been getting away with it.
is what?
He has been getting away with it.
Absolutely. And that makes all of us less safe because what he's getting away with, it's not that he's calling you names. It's that he's an attorney with the power of what that means and the credibility it is supposed to embody, who is weaponizing a group of thousands and thousands of cult followers to hate you the way he hates you. So he generates this hatred of you by describing you in all of these horrible ways and assassinating your character, your motives, everything. I'm surprised he doesn't, accuse you of having gas or whatever. But what it is he's doing everything to hold you in ill repute, to generate hatred for you,
Right.
which will easily be converted into action, violence toward you. And that was the fear Karen Madison had. It's the fear I had. It's the fear that other people that were on that list, that banned list at that book signing thing,
Yeah. So let me just say this publicly right here and right now. And I mean this in all honesty. I do believe that the actions of Eric Bland and Mandy and Liz have put my life and my family's life in danger. Now, does that mean that I've got some sniper out in my front yard? I don't know. But and I'm not comparing myself to Charlie Kirk, but did he wake up that morning thinking he was going to, or President Trump when that happened to him? I mean, there's some crazy people in this world, and I believe that they have ignited a fire, and the possibility is there. So yes, do I think their actions have put me and my life in danger? Absolutely, I do. So SLED, if you're listening, FBI, if you're listening, let's just put it on the record right now. I believe that. But there are two different letters in the ODC process. And again, when we say ODC, we're talking about the Office of Disciplinary Counsel at the Supreme Court of South Carolina. And that one is A, acknowledgement of the complaint. So this is a letter that the ODC received information and is being evaluated or investigated, like Eric's was. And then B, there's a notice of investigation to the lawyer, and this is separate confidential notice sent to the attorney only if an investigation has been opened. Now, he had said he hasn't received anything from them, but I haven't stopped sending them things. In fact, I just sent something out on Friday where he attacked me again. And so I printed it out. I went and wrote the letter, did the form. I took the number that they assigned to me, and I sent it again. So they're going to get more stuff on Monday. So he probably hasn't received anything from them yet, because they're still receiving stuff.
That I don't believe you're accurate about that. I think he has. There was a slight shift. See, when you're caught in a lie and you're a habitual liar, you start to equivocate. So I noticed a bit of equivocation that he had said you're totally making it up. You haven't contacted the ODC, but then he said, but even if you had, they're not going to do anything. So he's taunting the ODC. He's like trying to control and harass and intimidate them into doing nothing, because he's already put out the Eric Blandism that he has decided you're not worthy of making a complaint. You're not credible to make a complaint, and your complaint, whatever it is, should be ignored because he, Eric Bland, super lawyer or whatever the heck the delusional guy thinks he is, said so. So I think he probably does know that he's got at least, I think he does know the substance of the complaint. I looked back at
all he's got to do is go look at his social media and he can see the substance of the complaint. And they're gonna send him a letter whenever they send him a letter, if they already have, alleging the misconduct, and then they're going to state the specific rules of professional conduct implicated, and then they're going to require him to have a mandatory written response, which is going to be under oath.
Anything he says is under oath. I don't think you understand this. An attorney is considered to be under oath. That's why when they sign a pleading, that pleading, what they produce in court and they sign their name to, is considered under oath. So when Mark Tinsley files a complaint accusing Parker of releasing this mediation reel, his signature on that complaint is him under oath asserting that he believes this is true, when he knew that he's the one that released it, or at least one of the people that released it. He knew that complaint was a fraud on the court. It's the same as a military officer. When a military officer signs his name to a document, an official document, it's considered to be under oath. So what Eric Bland is doing is absolutely outrageous. But go on. Doesn't it say about not publicly discussing and trying to intimidate a complainant? Which is what you want.
So they have confidentiality, and their confidentiality is mandatory, and the public commentary, in my opinion, is dangerous. When you talk about the South Carolina law, the disciplinary investigations are confidential by rule until formal charges are authorized, meaning they're not going to say anything. Now, I felt it and been advised by my legal counsel that I should bring this to public because of the perceived threats on my life. So that's out. But the ODC staff is confidentially, they're binded. The Commission on Lawyer Conduct, they're binded by confidentiality, and the lawyers themselves. But what a lawyer may not do, if he's received this, I guess even if he hasn't, is intimidate the complainants, me. That's what he's doing. Mischaracterize the process publicly. He's done that. Suggest the system is biased or corrupt.
Done
He's
that.
done that. And discourage complainants by ridicule or threats. He's done that.
That's a
And yes,
he's covered every base, and with one extra. So
repeatedly and publicly.
he has an outrageous disregard for the rules of professional conduct, and in this context, he's putting your life at risk because he's so reckless in his disregard for the rules of professional conduct.
Right. So in his multiple posts, he stated or implied that the complaints against him are frivolous. He said that. The complaints are mentally, complainants, moi, are mentally unstable. Filing complaints is abusive. He said that. And that the public should be aware and act at their own peril. I perceive that as a threat. And these statements implicate multiple provisions of the rules of conduct, which is 8.4D and 4.4A and 3.6 and 8.4A, attempting to interfere with the disciplinary service. And 3.6 is, we've talked about that. And 4.4A is the big one, using means by no substantial purpose other than to embarrass, harass, or burden another. Again, moi.
Okay, but let's get back to why he's doing it. Eric Bland isn't just attacking you because he feels like it. There's a lot of money involved here. They created, Tinsley and Liz, we know this from Liz's deposition. Tinsley and Liz created a narrative that I assert was substantially false. But that narrative got traction, and it was repeated by a lot of lazy people in media. It was a seductive narrative about this evil Alec Murdaugh empire. But the point of the narrative, I believe, was to enrich Mark Tinsley and his clients, to weaponize and monetize a jury pool, that people would believe this narrative because Liz not only didn't disclose her personal relationship with Tinsley, she didn't disclose that she was at times publishing verbatim his point of view. In fact, she denied it. But what she did is she ceased to be a journalist and became his PR person. She became a shill for him. She became part of his legal strategy. Now, if she had done that and announced it to everybody, it'd be fine. Nothing wrong with a journalist saying, hey, I don't want to be a journalist. I want to be part of Mark Tinsley's PR team or Eric Bland's PR team, because they did the same thing with Eric Bland and the Seidel case. If they had disclosed that I am enormously biased because I have a personal relationship with Tinsley, and so I want to be in PR, I want to be part of his legal strategy, it would have been fine. That's not what she did. She lied about it. She told her readers one thing, and then under oath on November 3rd, we finally hear the truth about the relationship she had, which I had questioned for years. Other people had questioned for years. Turned out we were actually very astute. We had figured it out. But I have to say, her deposition is shocking because it's worse than we realized.
Well, let me sidebar this for a second because it's imperative to what you're talking about, and I'm not going to say who these text messages are between. You can figure that all on your own. But I'm going to read just a few bubbles here of a text, and it starts out with, "Got a great quote on the record from Tinsley," and the other person says, "Is it F. Greg Parker and the horse he rode in on?" And they literally spelled out the word. They responded basically, LOL. Good. The response is, defendants in the conspiracy case are, question mark, and that case is all about the leaks of the confidential materials, correct? They respond, yes. Vicky Ward, Henry Rosado, Max Furtati, Blake Greco, am I pronouncing that right? Greg Parker, Jason DeCruz, Greg Parker Inc., and Private Investigation Services Group Inc. The other person responds, plaintiff in that case is Beach family? Question mark. Yes. Then they go on to say, Liz really effed up, and they spell out the word. If it gets out, Tinsley showed her the video. He loses that case. This is between people in media. Then they go on to say, ugh, this whole thing is just ugh. That's all I got. You know, she saw it, right? Yes, I believe I recall her and Mandy discussing it, her having it. Yes.
But she and
Not,
Liz.
not only does Mandy and Liz know this, other people know it.
Okay, so Mandy knew that they were lying. Liz obviously knew, but that's what was in Liz's deposition. That's
And
why
other people knew.
other people knew. Okay, but I do know who you're talking about, and this is outrageous that the people in the conversation that they know that if the
Well, that's a
if it
different story. But yes, you're right.
was that Tinsley had released that mediation reel, that his case he sunk his own case. These people that you're talking about that you haven't named are allegedly journalists who talk about their virtue. They're standing on a rock of jello that they're virtuous journalists. They sat on this information. They allowed this fake narrative to take hold and to be ignited globally when they knew it was a lie.
Yep.
They weaponized it all the way to Netflix and Hulu and HBO. So
Yep. Which is why when I see people talk about the Hulu show, I'm like, oh my God, it's complete made up. It's complete made up to have a narrative that made money. The woman couldn't even write her own damn book. Come on, people. This was all done by attorneys.
Jim, that's why they're attacking you. There's been hundreds of millions of dollars made on this narrative with Netflix, HBO, Hulu, CNN, Dateline, all of them. Everybody's written a book about it.
Yeah, but they call me a grifter because I offer a free website that people can go read articles about and try to put out the truth as much as I can. And I say as much as I can because of what people tell me and what I find, and it's as close to the absolute truth as I can get, because some of these people down in the low country just don't talk. So it's hard. I'd love to talk to Buster. I think Buster or Randy or John Marvin or one of those could really connect me some things, and we could really connect. I even met Jim and Dick, and they couldn't connect it. So I think somebody down there needs to connect. But anyway, yes. So everybody knew about this. Everybody created this and let it go. And I haven't seen all the texts, but I have been told that it involves everybody that were legally downloaded onto her personal phone. She didn't do it. She didn't hack into anything. It was just put on her phone for the viewing. And let me just tell you, everybody is on these texts. Everybody.
I agree. Now, Jim, on my Christmas list.
And by the way, let me just clarify here this fact for the moment. I am not threatening anybody with these texts. Oh, he's making threats to us. He's making threats to us. I am not threatening you with it. I haven't done anything with these texts besides post a couple of them. There are literally 5,000, I think. I have posted about 20. Like, give me a break. If using your words is harassment, then what in the world is whack job, clown, scumbag, sick, deranged person, lunatic, mental, midget, and cretin? I mean, I'm just trying to report the news. Sorry.
That we need to do maybe to get to the bottom of this. I think there are a couple more depositions that Parker's needs to take. And I've said this before. I don't know Mr. Parker, but in doggedly sticking to the 392 case, he is doing a great service to all of us because he's actually inadvertently exposing this collusion between media and these attorneys to monetize a narrative to enrich themselves and their clients. So on my wish list this year for Christmas would be that Parker's take the depositions of Will Folks and Jen Wood, because I think both of them are honest people. I don't think they would lie under oath. They don't really have a dog in this fight other than they could honestly testify to facts related to the claims made in the 392 case, which would be so informative about this larger, I want to call it a conspiracy because I can't think of a better word, but this collusion between these attorneys and these two, I don't know what they are, not journalists, but whatever they are, Mandy and Liz. So I'm talking about the collusion between Tinsley and Bland and Liz and Mandy. So deposing Will Folks and Jen Wood would simply help to get an accurate understanding related to the claims made in the 392 case, which would give the rest of us an accurate understanding of what in the world these people were doing. Because I'm not saying one way or another whether they're good people, bad people, whatever. But what they did needs to be reviewed because it harms us. When media weaponizes the public's faith, we were naive. I was naive. I believed what these reporters were talking about, or I thought they were journalists, and I believed what they were talking about. And I believed their denials that they had a personal relationship with Tinsley. I believed all of it for a while anyway. And we have a right to know the truth. And I hope it comes out. I hope it doesn't just stop here. I hope it comes out. And I can see where they would be very concerned about Liz Farrell's deposition taken November 3rd of 2025, because it really blows the door off of it blows the wheels off of Mark Tinsley's case. And it blows the wheels off of any pretense that these people were credible journalists. They were PR operatives engaged in pushing a legal strategy. But that's actually different than Eric Bland protecting that income stream, because they made a lot of money off of this narrative. And whether that's ethical or not, I don't know, because I guess, if we're stupid enough to believe them, maybe it's our fault. But what Eric Bland is doing to you is a different thing. But the motivation is basically the same. You're threatening their income stream. You are a threat to them financially. And I think that makes what he's doing even more ugly. He has a reckless disregard for the rules of professional conduct, and he's motivated by greed to attack you and put you and your family in harm's way. And he's done it before.
Yeah. And so what happens if misconduct is found? Well, so according to the ODC website, and this is not me making this up, so just again, got to make these clear to everybody. After investigation, the ODC must determine whether there is clear and convincing evidence of misconduct. If there is not, ODC may dismiss the complaint or issue a confidential letter of caution. If there is clear and convincing evidence, the ODC may propose discipline by consent, recommend confidential admonition, or seek authorization to file formal charges. And once formal charges are authorized, proceedings become public, evidence is heard, witnesses may be subpoenaed, and the Supreme Court ultimately decides to discipline. This is not social media theater. This is the judicial process in our state. Now, as I say that, I want to bring attention to you one particular case involving an attorney, and this goes back 4 years ago, and it was the matter of attorney David Paul Trawick. He's going to be called the respondent, okay? And let me just read to you what the Supreme Court 4 years ago said about one post he had. And it says all 12 of respondents' statements are troubling. Well, let me back up. ODC identified 12 statements. Respondent made in Facebook post, ODC believes tended to bring the legal profession into disrepute and violated the letter and the spirit of the lawyer's oath. NAC Rule 402H3, requiring lawyers to maintain dignity of the legal system. Respondent admits these public statements tended to bring the legal profession into disrepute and acknowledges that through his statements he violated the lawyer's oath. Respondent also admits his misconduct constitutes grounds for discipline under the rules for lawyer disciplinary enforcement 413. It goes into a lot of rules, but it says we We do this mindful of respondents' right to freedom of speech in the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. Importantly, however, respondent does not raise a First Amendment Constitution challenge to this discipline. The attorney wrote the court after oral argument stating, "We do not think it's necessary for the court to address First Amendment issues. For this reason, we will not analyze the impact of the amendment." This is what he said on April 5th, 2020. Respondent posted an offensive comment regarding tattoos to his Facebook page. In the comment, he challenged his readers, "Prove me wrong. Pro tip, you can't." A reader wrote back suggesting respondent prove he was right regarding his theories about tattoos, and then the respondent stated, "The general statement has exceptions, such as for bikers, sailors, convicts, or infantry, but these college-educated liberal suburbanites know the rule was written for these boring MFers," and you can write it all out, "and they are everywhere. F them, especially these females. Jesus Christ." Uh, And then he goes on to say, "Here's how much this, I don't even want to say this word, life actually mattered. Stock futures up, markets moved higher Monday and Tuesday. FU, unfriend me." That's what this guy said. And the Office of Disciplinary Counsel and ultimately the Supreme Court of the state of South Carolina suspended him for a period of 6 months.
And that's nothing compared to what Eric Bland is doing for you. And the intent is entirely different. That attorney isn't weaponizing anybody to harm anyone. And that attorney isn't motivated by this enormous profit, which taints his professional conduct. So if that were the standard, that guy got 6 months for that arguably banal sort of comment, Eric Bland can kiss his law degree goodbye.
I mean,
he is,
and the Supreme Court says here, "We particularly concerned with this statement regarding Mr. Floyd, and we find this statement was intended to incite is the key word here. In this particular case, intensified racial conflict, not only in respondents' Facebook community, but also in the broader community of Charleston and beyond. We hold that that statement in particular tended to bring the legal profession into disrepute, violated the letter and spirit of the lawyer's oath, and constitute grounds for discipline under the rules." Now, uh, let's remove racial conflict and just put in conflict. So remove the word racial. But as you had said, I believe as well that he is inciting his Facebook, his X, his TikTok, his Instagram followers to incite something, some sort of conflict against me. And for that, that's troublesome.
it is.
And,
And
and this
you can
guy
go
was
back
one post. This guy
of
was
20,
one post. Huh?
you can go back to January of 2024 when a gentleman named Les Aker had filed a complaint against Eric Bland. And Eric went off on, at first he called Les a homosexual and criticized the fact that Les's name, his first name is feminine, and therefore he must be a homosexual. But he encouraged his fans, his groupies, to, I believe what he said is, "You know what to do." But this guy is basically a whack job. Same kind of, personal comments directed toward Les. At one point, though, he decided that I was somehow responsible for, or at first they thought that maybe I was the one that had made the complaint. And so they're saying, well, Elaine is a schizophrenic and all these things, just nasty, stupid things. And Eric is right in there with, and he's provoking them. And but one of the things that Eric had said at that time was, "I'd rather be strong and wrong than weak and right." That's not a typo. I'd rather be strong and wrong. I'd rather be a bully and wrong than weak and right. What kind of attorney has that as his motto? I mean, Eric Bland is a buffoon with no regard for the rules of professional conduct, hiding in plain sight. He's right there. And I'm not telling the Office of Disciplinary Counsel what to do, but they need to take a real serious look at Mr. Bland and at what he's posting, what he's saying, and what he's encouraging his followers like Zoomy and some of these other people to do. We know from texts that Liz and Mandy have aliases that they use to harass people online on social media. We know that they understand the dynamic of trolling and harassing people online on social media.
Yeah, because they want them to go away. But you know, the
They're
Supreme Court in
protected.
South Carolina is very explicit. Lawyers must not use the law's procedures to harass, intimidate others, and must respect the legal system and who served it. I mean, he even threatened me with a lawsuit if I don't shut up. You know, publicly ridiculing complainants and misrepresenting how discipline works violates that duty. I mean, the process exists for a reason. It's not performative. It's not a popularity contest. It exists to protect the public, the integrity of the court systems, and the rule of law itself. That's it. And anyone spreading misinformation about that process, whether it's ignorance or intent, does a disservice to the profession they claim to defend. I don't care who that is for. When this misinformation comes from a licensed attorney, it's not commentary, it's evidence.
Hey, Jim, this is something you didn't talk about. This is, United States Criminal Code 18. This is U.S. Criminal Code 2261A. It says in relevant part, whoever travels in interstate of foreign commerce or is present within the jurisdiction of the United States with the intent to kill, injure, harass, intimidate, or place under surveillance or intimidate another person, and in the course of or as a result of such travel or presence engages in conduct that places that person in fear of death or serious bodily injury to that person or an immediate family member or spouse or intimate partner of that person, this statute covers mail or electronic communications, threats, including phone calls, emails, and social media posts that specifically afford a comprehensive range of behaviors considered stalking. These include acting with the intention to kill, injure, harass, or intimidate the victim. Note the wide span difference between kill and intimidate. Both are treated equally under federal law. So whether he's trying to kill you or simply intimidate you, for the purposes of federal cyber stalking statutes, they are treated the same. Placing the victim under surveillance with intent to kill, injure, harass, or intimidate them, engaging in a course of conduct that causes the victim to be in reasonable fear of death or serious bodily injury to themselves, their partner, spouse, or immediate family member, or a person, pet, service animal, or horse, and causing or attempting to cause substantial emotional distress to the victim or acting in a way that would reasonably be expected to do so. So what he's doing by weaponizing his little cult followers to harass and intimidate you is illegal. It's a violation of federal law. Now, you're not trying to, well, first of all, you can't bring a criminal
No,
lawsuit.
but listen, he's an attorney. So what he says, I take him seriously and
Yeah,
at his word.
yes,
And he
yes.
is inciting, in my opinion, based off of things like, oh, you know, at your own peril. What does peril mean? My own peril?
Up at risk of, what he said is read or listen to Jim's content at your own peril. It's
Yeah,
odd.
well, you understand it that way, but maybe somebody else doesn't understand it that way. Maybe somebody else is going to think of just the exact
He's
opposite.
trying to harm you. By the way, economic harm is harm. So what he's doing is he's trying to destroy the credibility of your business enterprise, frankly. And that is a kind of harm that's as substantial as anything else. And I want to go back to this. What's important is that for the purposes of this federal anti-stalking law, whether it's to kill or to intimidate you, the law treats them equally. So trying to kill you or trying to intimidate you are both equally against the law. So what Mr. Bland is doing is not trivial. It's not as simple as just saying bad words directed at you. And the Office of Disciplinary Counsel really needs to put a fine point on this and actually take a look at it, because it's serious, especially when an attorney engages, and if he is an attorney, he needs to understand, he knows the US criminal code as much as anybody does. There's also South Carolina state law about this. So this reckless disregard for the law, federal law, state law, and the rules of professional conduct make him not only a threat to you, but a threat in general to anybody. And he's actually, in a way, he's encouraging not only us to disregard the legal profession, but he's encouraging other attorneys to act this way. By being a role model, he's saying, if I can get away with this, you can too. I think he's a disaster. I think he absolutely holds the legal profession in disrepute. I believe the phraseology was, he pollutes the administration of justice. Allowing him to run around without being sanctioned pollutes the administration of justice. But this isn't a trivial matter. He's not just anybody spouting off. He is a licensed attorney. He does have a reckless disregard for the rules of professional conduct and for your health and safety and federal law and state law, if cyber stalking and stalking laws. And he needs to be reined in. He needs to be held accountable. He needs to take a break until he can understand the consequences of what he's doing before somebody is injured or killed.
Yeah, me.
Yeah.
And he, and I'm sure they're all going to laugh about this. I mean, here's the thing. I know what they're going to do before they do it. They're going to laugh about this, and Manny's going to have some picture of her with sunglasses on and some cup with a straw in it, looking away like she's so bothered by this, or laughing at her, or go to the Parker's pumps and laugh like they're not going to buy gas from them. Okay, again with the third grade stuff. But listen, you may laugh at it, but I've heard you say that, not you, but them say, they were in fear for their life. I didn't laugh at you.
I don't think if you've ever been in fear of your life, you take this frivolously. I don't know. Adults have certain duties. We have a duty to understand if we've gotten too far off the rails. We have a duty to understand if our greed and our emotional attachment has driven us so far off the rails that we're hurting other people. And we have to be able to accurately assess our own conduct and rein it in. And they're not doing that. And they have unfortunately been praised and rewarded for the very conduct we're talking about. And it hurts Buster. It's hurt other people. It defamed Dr. Aaron Presnell, of all people. It's
not right.
Delusional if they think that they are somehow standing on a mountain of virtue. And
it's not human.
Well, they certainly have dehumanized us. I would say that they have a reckless disregard for our health and safety. I don't like this feeling. And it's terrifying. I don't like to be terrified. I don't like to live with fear that some idiot is going to be motivated by the content they make to harm you or me or anybody we love, or, it's wrong. And we have to stand up and say it's wrong. We have to simply say, nope, can't do this anymore, which is why I'm here on today of all days to make this content. And I hope that other people have the balls, that you juggle, to stand up and say, yeah, it's wrong. It's wrong.
Yeah.
Because there's a right line here between right and wrong. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it, Jim.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, what a show for today. But hopefully that explains the process, what has been alleged by me, what has been put down on for the record by Mr. Bland himself. and what has been sent to the ODC and what the ODC has done about it so far. What they're going to do about it after this, I have no idea. But it's clear to me, based off of their past history and what their rules are, that these things that he has done and alleged towards me break those rules. But I'm not in the ODC and I'm not investigating, so I can't say whether it is or it isn't. We'll have to wait and see what their investigation says. But that's it. And we are on 97.7 WVFF Veterans for Freedom Radio, the Truth in Broadcasting Corporation, in Cottageville, South Kakalaki.
Don't go yet. People
And I
have
always
to.
like saying it, 97.7.
No, Jim, stop.
What?
People read your article. What's the title of it? What the ODC disciplinary process really means. They
Yeah,
need.
it's how the South Carolina ODC disciplinary process actually works. And you can find that article at crimeandcask.com or
And I put
ccnewsnetwork.com. Either one will get you there. And just go, I have a lot of tabs. There's South Carolina news. It's under South Carolina news. It might show up in the slider. In fact, let me look. I'll take a look at it right now. I changed my logo to have a little Christmas theme, try to have fun. Yeah, it's in the above slider, and so is the article about ODC opens the investigation in Attorney Bland, and it's all there, and it's factual based. There's no bias in it. I'm just reporting the facts of what was written down. By the way, I don't know if it means anything, but he did block me. He has blocked me on every single social media that he has now. So I can't see, but I don't know if that means anything. But I thought that was interesting that he blocked me.
I'm proud of you, Jim. I'm proud of you for taking this on. I'm proud of you for not hiding and not backing away, not backing down. And I think it's really important that you keep us abreast of what goes on every few days so that we're up to date on this.
Yeah,
Because
and
it's
again, all I'm doing is writing these things. And by the way, I'll put the challenge out to Mandy, Liz, or Eric. If they want to talk about this article that I wrote for Stephen Smith, I'd be happy to. If you want to listen to it, I'd be happy to. You've wanted to solve this case. Let's solve it together. I'm happy to work with you, even after all the things that you guys have said to me, to get to the final thing of getting justice for Stephen Smith. That's all I'm here for, is to just report the news and follow these investigations. So hopefully that's turning the other cheek. I don't know what it is, but if they don't, then they don't. But I've offered. So what else you got?
I got nothing. I got the thing in New York, the thing in North Carolina. I got things.
You got
Otherwise,
things. You got things. You got people. Your people got people. We're very busy. All right.
goodbye.
I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Crop and Cask out. We'll see you. And recording.